Hello and welcome back to Slaying the Craft, the show where we go inside the mind of a thriller writer. I am your host, Sabrina Thatcher, cheerleader with a knife book coach, an author, a podcaster, but most of all, a fanatic of the genre. I'm really excited to introduce my guest to you today. She wrote a series that I really, really like and I can't wait to talk about. But she's got a new one, so we'll talk about that as well. So this is USA Today, Wall Street Journal, Amazon Charts, and Washington Post best-selling author Brianna Labuskes. Brianna loves reading and writing in two of her favorite genres, psychological thrillers and historical fiction. She got her start in romance with a small publisher and still adores swoon-worthy meet-cutes, which there's definitely a little romance in this book. You can find that strong sense of relationship building throughout all of Brie's work. She has published more than a dozen novels in her career and isn't slowing down anytime soon. She spent the first decade plus change of her career in DC in journalism and knows way too much about Ways and Means Committee as well as the best way to avoid traffic on the Beltway. She now lives in Pennsylvania with her pup, Jinx. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yay. Do you want me to call you Brie?
Brie's good. Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone does. I don't know why I didn't use that as my author name. But
I feel like it's kind of like this is my professional name. I get it.
Well, you know what? It actually fits better on a book because the two names are kind of they're kind of the same size.
Guys, these are the things we think about in publishing. How will our names fit on the book? Will it look right?
Well, you see how it stacks? It's like so much better than you had a tiny little first name and a really long last name.
There you go.
I tell myself.
That's too funny. Actually, my dad used to call me Brie, but it's the only person that's ever called me that because Sabrina.
I was wondering. My niece's friend is Sabrina, and she goes by Brie.
Oh, really? That's so fun. Anyway, welcome. Anyway, we're excited to have you here. So I am very, very excited. First, I'm not going to go into a great detail of it, but your Gretchen series. Can you talk about it real quick, super quick?
Yes, so Dr. Gretchen White is, there's 3 books in that series, and she is a sociopath and a police consultant. And I really love the child psychopath trope, the kid is a psychopath. But I didn't feel like I had anything to add to that particular trope.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's been done, right? So it's and done very well. And so I was kind of trying to think of a different way into it. And so I was like, what if the psychopath kid is innocent? And so then I was like, well, who would believe that? And I was like, a sociopath. And so that's kind of how that was born. And she is, to this day, people talk to me about that character all the time. It's the one that's been optioned for film.
Okay, I can see that. She's such an interesting character. I'm sorry, I don't remember the names of the books off the top of my head.
No, A Familiar Sight.
You don't even remember, so I don't feel so bad. Hold on one second, I'm getting it right now.
Okay. What you can see and see it end. See it end.
Okay, yes, A Familiar Sight. What can't be seen and see it end. So Gretchen's okay, yes. So anyway, Dr. Gretchen White is a fantastic character. I loved in the scenes where she was like, I know that everyone's thinking I should be acting this way, but I don't feel that way. So you just did an amazing job. Okay. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. We're not talking about those books today, but I am a fan. We are talking about your new one, Clean Slate.
Yay!
Okay, so tell me about this book.
So it is about a crime scene cleaner, Olive Hunt. I don't know if you remember that 2005, 2008-ish movie, Sunshine Cleaning. It was with Amy Adams and Emily Blunt before she was Emily Blunt.
Okay.
And they ran a crime scene cleaning service. And that always stuck in my head. I loved that movie. They kind of focused really on the emotional side of it. You're encountering people on their worst days. And that. And it was very heartfielt. And but I still liked the concept. And I was like,
it's such a good concept. Right? A crime scene cleaner. Don't you, I find it so, sorry, I'm going to go on a tangent. No. I really have this thing about, I love the idea of having mysteries and thrillers that are around people who are around the crime scene or around a crime. I've got I have an idea about a volunteer, like a victim advocate. Like
Yeah.
there would be like that would be so interesting. And I think a crime scene cleaner is so interesting. There's more than just a detective that's involved that can get. So it's just fascinating to me.
Well, and the one thing I really loved about it, because so like the rest of my like people who are actually solving the crimes were had to report to the police, right? They were either consultants or
Yeah.
they had to follow the rules. And this one, she didn't have to follow any rules,
Well, she
like
really didn't. Yeah.
she didn't have to like wear gloves and like get warrants and things like that, where you like kind of slows you down a little bit when you're writing. And so she was like, let's just like go talk to people and like walk into houses without having to like warn them of anything and like things like that. And that was kind of a fun like avenue to write in that I hadn't really got to experience before. So she's just like driving all over the place. She's like, you know what, I'm gonna go do this.
It's a
And
little more like little amateur sleuth-ish.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was a lot more freeing. And also just kind of trying to remember that like she had a day job was also like
She's
like,
got to keep going
in
to
the
these
front
crime
of mind.
scenes.
Yeah, I was like, okay, remember she has to like have a business. So it was kind of an interesting new little avenue for me, which I really liked.
That's fun. So, okay, I wanted to talk about your inspiration. So we talked about like why a crime scene cleaner. So one of the things that I thought was super interesting in this book was that Olive is raised by a woman that has contamination OCD. And I'm interested, could you talk about that? Like, did you research it? Do you have like personal experience? Like where did you get the information? Because this was it's very visceral, the things that she had to go through.
I really wanted to tie into like her cleaning. Like I didn't want it just to be like this random thing. And so I also wanted her kind of a backstory. And so like that kind of was what started me thinking. But I had watched this video years ago, like 10 years, I want to say like 5 or 10 years ago, of this kid. And he was talking about his experience with a mom who has contamination OCD and a lot of other things. And there were just things that he had listed, like he wasn't allowed to go on the second floor, like things like that, that felt, that stuck with me. I was like,
Yeah.
and he knew the whole time that she wasn't doing this to, it wasn't like she was like in her, a neurotypical person, like living their day and like being abusive. She was struggling with a mental illness. And I found that so like heartrending because logically that it's not because of you that this is happening, but like also like
But it's happening to you and
it's
you're
happening
a
to
child. Like
you. And you're
that's a
young.
lot of responsibility to try to be like, oh, this is terrible things happening to me. It's not her fault. I guess I have to be okay with it, but I really don't want this to be happening to me. Like that's
Yeah.
so awful.
Yeah. So that stuck with me for a really long time. And then when I came up with the idea for crime scene cleaner, I was like, oh my gosh. And then of course I researched more about contamination OCD and the mother. You've run this pretty early on, so I don't think it's a spoiler, but she killed the father.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think that's pretty early.
Yeah. And I was like, I didn't want to have bad mental health rep because there are so many like people with mental health illness are usually victims of crime rather than committing the crimes. So when does happen, it's rare. So I was kind of had to go research and make sure that was supported in the evidence. And so like she kind of has like multiple disorders going on and working contra to each other. And so that's what happened. But I just wanted to make sure it was very clear that like I didn't want like I didn't want to be complicit in perpetuating that mythology. And so that took a lot of research to do. But I have heard from people who have read it who have dealt with contamination OCD, and they have said it's like a good portrayal. So that is a huge thing to walk away. Like that makes me so happy because when you're dealing with something that is not a lived experience,
you really want to be really careful and thoughtful and like make it real and not, I mean, it's such a fine line, but that's really great. I mean, I think you did a great job and it really served the character and the plot by having this with her background. And then I won't go into the details, but what she finds at crime scenes, what gets her connected to these cases, only somebody who has had a level of the experience that she's had with contamination OCD and cleaning and things like that would find the things that she finds, which I think is very interesting, which makes it very unique. which kind of goes into the second thing I have here, which is that you've got multiple plot lines in this book, which I thought were fantastic. You've got the serial killer plot line, and then the subplot is like, why is Olive being roped into this? How, like, why is she even here? So you managed to weave the plots together, but it's quite clearly two different mystery questions that have been set up. So how did you manage to pull everything together? Like, what was your process in trying to, like, okay, I've got my main plot, my subplot, like all the things.
No, that's that's one of my favorite parts of writing, but it was also hard to make it believable that Olive would be kind of pulled in, right? Like especially at first, because you're like,
Yeah, because like why?
she was very against. She's like, I'm not Nancy Drew. Like, I want
Yeah.
to get my job done and get in and out. And she's not one of those people who's gonna like combat with the police. She's like, here's the evidence I found. Like
Yeah.
that drives me crazy sometimes when people like don't just like give the evidence.
No, because in real life, let's be honest. Do you know how many times? So this is one of my problems. In my first book I ever wrote, the 1,500 times throughout the book, why didn't she just call the police? Why didn't she just call the police? Why didn't she just call the police? Like, this is so dumb. What are we doing? Why don't you just call the police? But I get it, because like you gotta have a story and there's gotta be a reason. But I'm like, in real life you would.
And, you know, people are people. They're gonna do
People
silly.
are people, but
So you could totally be like, okay, why? Like maybe they didn't call the police for whatever reason, but she was very much like, I don't want to be involved. I don't want to be involved, and so I had to give her a reason to be involved, and that was when I tied it into. The first clue she finds kind of like leads her to this community center that was like essentially her home away from home. It was like her safe haven, and so then she's like immediately invested because she is so protective of the people there, and like her best friends there, the father figure that she grew up with is there, and so she kind of has a purpose and like becomes like a personally attached to the case, and so that's when she starts getting like, oh, I have to solve this just in case it has anything to do with this community center that I love so much.
Yeah. And I love the community center aspect of it as well. So
I worked in healthcare journalism before I became like went to full-time writing, and community centers are so important for like lower income like neighborhoods, and they like have such a huge impact on the health of the people who live there. And so I was like so excited to write about these, and also the whole theme of the tools. There's a second book coming out. So the series will be kind of community, and it stretches into the second book too. And
okay.
like, the community that you build and like the support you have, and like Olive is very self-sufficient, and so she has to like ask people for help, and this like it's kind of new to her, but that actually helps strengthen the community bonds when you are able to ask for help and receive it. And so that's like a new experience for her. So it was really fun to be able to pull the strings all together and make it all linked like that.
Yeah, no, I loved it. And there was like, this book is like everything. It's got like serial killer, rich people behaving badly, like community. There's a little bit of a romance, like kind of vibe going on, like all kinds of stuff is happening in here. So what was your favorite and your least favorite parts of writing this book?
I loved her relationship with Leah.
Her best friend.
Yeah. So, and I get it, but sometimes in like in the genre, you have to have like women whose friendships are not realistic to at least what I experience. It's like people have to be like backstabby and catty. And
Yeah. My friends are not like that. Like I wouldn't be friends with people like that. I don't get it. I get it in the books. Like I get why, but like,
yeah, you have to have conflict. You have to have tension. I totally understand why it's like a trope. But I want to see friendships like I have, like, like real women friendships that are like super supportive and super loving. And I was so excited to be able to write something like that, because this is more of a little bit of my other thrillers I felt were like kind of a darker. This one's a little bit lighter, which is kind of weird to say with what the mystery turns out to be.
Yes.
But the whole tone of it.
The tone is much lighter. I mean, you're dealing like in the Gretchen White series, like that is like heavy psychopath, sociopath kind of thing. Like the tone is definitely lighter here. It's still a dark book. It's still definitely a thriller.
Yeah. But that's also why I felt it was okay to put some romance in for the first time, because I'm like, sometimes when I read thrillers that have romance and then it's like they find dead bodies and then they go have like you know,
Yeah, how are you finding the buddies that you're gonna go have sex, right, like, afterwards? I didn't get it, but I mean, I guess the detectives in real life, do they do that? Like, is that for like, I mean, I don't think it's like a meet, right? But, like, in the same day, it
yeah,
feels I guess they have to.
I guess you're like numb to it or whatever, but I have never been able to like square
My
that
head
in.
doesn't get I can't get there either.
No, I can't get there. One time I read a book that had like the main character finding like a family annihilated, a family that he knew annihilated. And then like they went home like right after. And I was like, I don't know. So anyways, this
I
is
mean, maybe that would
I
work if the
know.
character is like a interesting fella, like a very interesting character.
Like if
That
he
would
turns
be
out to
like,
be the
oh my
killer, like
god, I
that
feel
would
like we've just
actually
come up with a new book for you. Like we're gonna it's a detective that's got like a major death kink, like a necrophilia.
heavy trigger warning. Okay. Sorry, I just took us off the rails. Anyways, that's like I loved being able to write Leah. I loved being able to write Sully, like all of her Nana, like all of her like friend, like her support. And then my least favorite, oh my gosh, well, I had to this one took a while because I had a different point of view at first. So there
Okay.
was Olive, and then there was I actually wrote the whole first draft with Jessie as the young woman who was
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So she was going to be the other point of view. So and then I just realized it wasn't working. It wasn't like moving the story forward whatsoever. It kind of always felt like you were like stopping every time you hit her chapters. And so I had to, and I love the points of view. So now it's like her father figure from the community center and this other woman who's like involved with the rich people behaving badly. And those two actually like I moved the plot forward, it feels like, whereas Jessie just kind of felt like she kept stopping the plot. But I
Hmm.
loved her so much. So I was like, I loved like these moments that I wrote between her and these other characters, and I'm never like that. I'm never precious about my words. I'm like, delete.
Yeah.
Um, but for some reason, it took me a while to like be like, okay, this isn't working. And so, just the rewrite, like the acceptance of that was probably like my least favorite thing. Where I also have
Yeah.
to rewrite like 20,000 words of the
Ugh.
book. Yeah, that
Yes.
was hard.
I would imagine so. But I think it worked out well. I thought like the points of view that you chose, the 3 points of view are very interesting because they're so different,
Yeah.
but really related. And it's multiple timelines and stuff. So I enjoyed that. Um, when we get into the craft section, which is in just a second, I want to go back and talk about this, like the point of view and then stop, like how you felt like the momentum stopped. Let's talk about that more. The last thing I wanted to ask you about your book is there a scene you're particularly excited for your readers to read?
This isn't I probably is not the right answer, but I love her talking to Sully in the backyard on the porch and there's like
Hmm.
fireflies and stuff and I'm like it's not a romance, but I love that scene so
But it's a
much.
moment.
It's a moment and they do like the pinky. Yeah, and I'm like
The
I
pinky
don't know.
swear.
I just I'm a romance reader at heart. Like what can
Oh,
you say?
you're like, I have to have it. It's just
I
in
don't
there.
know.
That's awesome. Okay, so let's go into craft a little bit here.
Yeah.
First, the first question I'm going to ask you is why are you writing the dark and twisted? You started in romance, you love the romance, you have historical fiction, you have a series with that as well, and then you've got these like psychological thrillers. So what's the like what drew you to writing those, and how do you balance writing all the genres?
I love psychological thrillers for a couple reasons. One, because I'm obsessed with human psychology. Like, I wanted to be a psychologist, and then they were like, you have to take statistics. And I was like, I can't take statistics and
Yeah,
pass
screw
college.
that. It's
So
not for
there was
me.
like, a lot more science and math involved in
Like,
that.
whoa. There's science involved in this?
I
Why
was
are
like,
we mathing?
I know. I was
I'm
like,
not trying to write a prescription.
So I was like, I'm gonna go to journalism.
Nice.
But anyways, it still was like I just always have. I love thinking about why people do the things they do, and I love how they like sociology is also really interesting to me. And so the whole reason I wrote the Gretchen White series was because I was like, people aren't bad or good, but there's no binary, and like I really wanted to explore that. So I'm really just like always fascinated about why people do the things they do. and just kind of stress testing that. And it's really fun with thrillers because it's like extreme, right? So I think there are people out there who do brilliant books about like a daily slice of life or like contemplative, emotions on grief or whatever. And like that is lovely. And I love reading that. But as a writer, I was like, I love like fear to the most highest
Yeah.
extent, like fast paced plots and things like that. And I think thrillers really let you play around in that playground. It's like so much fun, and all of the language, like maggots and brain matter and
Oh my
like
God. Innards is my favorite word. Innards. Like
beautiful. I
what?
love the words you're allowed to use in thrillers that are
Yeah.
just like, so visceral,
They
right? And
really are. They really are. Like I've gone through like if you look at Gillian Flynn and you look at Gone
yeah,
Girl, like even just in her first page, the word choices that she has are just like so dark. I'm like,
yeah.
how could what? How? It's amazing.
I know. I wish she had never found TV writing because I think
I know
it's
it's really a disservice to the rest of us. Come back. Thanks so much.
I am so sad that she only has 3 books in a novella, but I think she's writing a new one.
Oh,
Um,
I know she has
anyways,
a publishing house now.
she does.
Yeah.
She does.
So
Which has some
busy
cool books.
lady.
Yeah, I know. And I'm like,
But
these are
also,
gonna
I'm gonna say, if it were me, I wouldn't write anything else after Gone Girl either. I'd be like,
be.
fuck that. I'm never gonna top that. It was
I
just the
know.
#1 book on New York Times 50 like most influential or like thrillers of the year or of the century or whatever. I'll get it. I get it because she's never gonna top it.
No, it's so. I think it has become. I think people who have not traced the entire arc of that book think it's like a cliche now or like whatever. But I was like, it was so transformative to the entire thriller genre.
Right?
Like, it is a book you can trace back to and
Uh-huh.
say, this pivoted the
It
genre.
changed. We started seeing books that are so different after that.
Yes, it was like huge. The unreliable narrator. That feels cliche now. And she began it, like the
Yeah.
trend. And it's so crazy to me that like, I mean, I think it gets its flowers. But
It does. I
am
mean, it
always
does. Yeah.
like you said, the New York Times just listed it. But it's just such a transformative book that it would be really hard to top. And it's not my favorite of her books.
It's not my favorite of hers either.
I am.
Wait, which one's your favorite?
I love sharp objects. I think they're
Dark
pretty
Places
close.
is my
Dark
favorite.
places and sharp objects are pretty close. Like
Yeah.
I feel
I
like
think
it would depend on the day, and then
yeah,
like a
I
week
guess.
I could actually be Gone Girl.
I was Gone Girl was great. I
It
mean,
was
I
great.
think
It's
that unfairly
informative.
by the time that I read it, like I was like, it's been spoiled. It's like out there. Like I already know it's in the zeitgeist. It's kind of like I haven't read Verity. I know the twist. Like it's you know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like there's like books that get out there and if you don't read it early enough, you
Yep,
miss you miss the window.
yep, 100%, 100%. And I think like dark places and sharp objects don't have as much of a twist,
They
but
don't,
I
yeah.
love the creepy vibes
Oh my
so
god.
much. Like we were
It's
saying,
the
the
tone
language
is so heavy, like so
so
oh,
good.
so good. Okay, anyway, so her books are great. Fantastic. Point is, you're writing a genre because you can use
Oh yeah,
fun, cool language.
yes. And also just like, high stakes. And so a lot of people are like, how do you write in historical fiction? And if you read my historical fiction, they are very different. Like, and but I think a story is a story to me. And I'm like, high stakes stories I love to tell. So whether it's war or whether it's a serial killer, like you're gonna have really big emotions you get to write about. You're gonna have things that are gonna put your characters into really exciting action. And I love reading it. I love writing it. So
Yeah.
like that is why I've always gravitated to both those genres. And romance is what I grew up reading. So when I first started writing a book, I was like, well, it's a romance, of
Well, yeah,
course.
of course you're gonna write what you read.
100%, a
Yeah.
100%. And yeah, so and the romance on that one has some mystery. So I do think I've just always been drawn to like fast pace. Like I love things that like actually have like a driving plot to them. So yeah, that's why I gravitate
That
towards
makes
that.
sense.
Yeah.
Well, kind of speaking about pacing, so we just talked about a minute ago, you were talking about the different POVs. And so you were drafting, you did an entire draft
Yeah.
and realized afterwards, or probably through some version of revisions, I'm assuming it's not the first revision, but like at some level, you were like, okay, this isn't working because it's slowing the pace. Can you try to talk about like, how did you mark that? How did you recognize it? And then what was your process around like, okay, I need to fix this? What did that look like?
So we were never learning anything in her points of view that were
Mm.
actually going to connect to the mystery. We were learning a lot about her. And we were kind of layering information from other chapters. But I think that something readers can struggle with multi points of view, right? And
Mhm.
especially multi timelines. And so something to combat that. You're always going to have readers who don't like it. Whatever, that's
Yeah.
fine.
You
I'm
can't
not
please everybody. You got to write the book you like.
Yeah, I love telling stories, like weaving stories together, and I think it pays off bigger in the end than it is annoying.
Hmm.
So, but for the people who do like points of view, to help them understand the entirety of the story, is like every chapter should kind of be in conversation with each other, and so even if they're in different timelines, even if they're different points of view, they should kind of be. This is how I think, at least this is not prescriptive, but like they should be building on top of each other. And so like if you're giving information in one chapter, like let's say someone like is pregnant, doesn't know who the father is, in the next chapter the reader should learn something kind of that would tie into that. And they don't have
Hmm.
to know it. They don't have to know they're learning it. But as a writer, you want to kind of put something in that like links back to the either the chapter before it or the next chapter that's going to happen. So like they're always going to be in conversation with each other. And I felt like her chapters seemed like a different book. like dropped into the middle of this olive book.
Yeah.
And it was like none of the chapters were in conversation with each other. It was like you were kind of finding things out about her after you'd already learned that piece of information in that
And then
chapter.
you were
Like,
seeing like, oh, you learned this thing, and then you see this is how it happened, kind of thing. Is
yes,
that like, okay, yeah, yeah,
yes. And so
yes.
like but that didn't add anything. It didn't move anything forward. And so when you're writing a thriller, you do have to have purpose to your chapters. And so it needs to so even if you're seeing a chapter that's like, so Anthony and Darla are my two points of view that I added instead. And even if the chapters feel unconnected to the story at that point, you are learning something in that chapter that is related to the chapters surrounding it. And so
Yes.
that keeps everything, even if the readers don't pick up on it, even if they don't know what they're learning, they are building a map in their head of the mystery of these little tidbits that you're giving them. And then they're going to have a complete one at the end, or hopefully like you
We've tied
drop
everything
the
back
lesson
together.
and it drops and
Yeah.
ties everything together. And then they're like, oh. And if they went back and read it again, they might see in those chapters that they thought were just kind of like B matter is actually information that is important to the conclusion. And so if you don't keep that in, I wasn't really keeping that in mind. I was having her talk to like this boy that it was a friendship and I
Hmm.
loved the friendship. And so I was like, just like they were on a beach and they were chatting about life and like blah blah blah, which is lovely. It was a lovely scene and like a lovely chapter, and it was doing nothing
I
to
know, that's so
advance
hard.
the plot. Yeah,
I've had, like, where I've written that before, I'm like, "Oh my god, this is so fun," and then I'm like, "None of this is gonna end up in here because none of
yeah.
this is important." It's
It's
important to me, and I like to know the character, and as the writer, I think you need those things, like, there's
mhm,
always gonna be stuff that you know, and you're writing, and you're experiencing, or you're seeing the character, like, live through that don't need to be in the book because it is a waste of space in the book, but you need it to build the character.
that's true too. Like it feels like it doesn't I rarely feel like I've wasted time even when I cut a lot because I'm like, well, that helped me learn the character in the book and the story better and it helped me narrow in on what it does need. And I
And
just want
learning
to
when
be
it doesn't, like, that's a
yeah,
huge piece too. Like, that really
yeah.
is. So, yeah.
And I think there can be stuff like I don't know, like I think there can be things in there that feel like they're just there to develop a character or whatever. It
Mhm.
doesn't always have to be super plot related. It
Yeah.
does have to be purposeful.
Yes. Yes. It has
It
to
can't
serve
just
the
be like
plot,
you
or it has to serve the
reading.
book. Yeah.
Yes, it has to serve the book. And so I think it wasn't serving the book. And it was funny. I had this feeling where I would read it and I would just kind of be like, ugh. It just felt like a seatbelt. Like if like when the seatbelt pulls and everything
Yeah.
character, and it was just kind of like this gut instinct of like, this isn't working. And I sent it to my agent who reads all of my stuff first, and she was like, you don't have to cut this point of view, but it's not doing anything. And I was like, agreed. And so that was when I rewrote that aspect. But yeah, I think it's kind of like,
You
I
kind
think
of it's the weirdest thing to explain to somebody, but it's a gut. It's just a gut
it is.
thing. Like when you start reading or you're reading again and you're like, eh.
Yeah.
Or I find, I don't know about you, but I find that when I'm writing and if I get into a point where I'm staying on the scene and I'm just like, I keep going back to it, there's something wrong. Like this is wrong. I need to go back to like, or I'm not enjoying it, or there's something that's like, this feels like it's pulling teeth. And there's a difference between, and it's really hard to know. There's a difference between pulling teeth because it's not the right thing and pulling teeth because like you just don't want to fucking write right now.
Yeah.
There are
100%.
two different things, or like,
100%.
or it's really hard or whatever. Like it's, yeah, it's a discernment you only get over time, right?
I think you're right, because like I really do want to help like give tips to writers, but sometimes I do feel like it's just experience. It's like
Yeah.
the pulling teeth when you're writing is you're 100% spot on. Where it's like some days it is you're just like every word feels like
It's like you're like Gabino Iglesias says this. He like posted every month on Threads, but there's something about like you have to like
oh yeah,
you rip your heart out and rip it out of your chest to like make this story happen. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly.
yes. And you know what my tip on that one is that I go back and read like 6 months later, read those days that were really hard, and they read the exact same as the days that were easy. And I'm like, just keep on freaking
Just keep
swimming.
going.
Is like my motto is like, just keep swimming, get the words down. It's always going to be better than a blank page, even if it feels terrible. You're not going to like really remember which days were terrible. Like your writing is still going to be your writing no matter what. Um, and yeah, so I guess as a reader, it is harder to know which. Are you holding on to your darlings, right? Or
Yes, yes.
are you doing the book of service? So I think it does
Yeah,
take a little bit of practice.
it does take some discernment over time. Well, I was going to ask you about if you were to teach a writer a new thing, because you just said that your tip. So let's talk about writing in multiple genres. We sort of talked about this a little bit, but so you started in like romance, and then you have historical fiction. You've got these psychological thrillers, and then you've got like this, which is also psychological, but it's like a different kind of tone. So how are you switching genres and keeping your voice?
Oh, that's a good one. I don't write at the same time. So, and I
That's
think that
okay.
would be really hard to do. And so I definitely do like one project and then switch. For me, it's it's more I kind of describe it as like speed rather than, and I don't mean like typing fast or like typing a lot of words. I mean like the pacing of it. Um, and so with thrillers, they're both like still my voice, right? Like you can still like it sounds like me no matter what book you pick up. But with thrillers, it's like, okay, I'm gonna be more in the body because it's adrenaline and you're
Yeah,
usually like
visceral. Yeah.
running. Yeah, it's visceral. It's like you're running from serial killers or you're hunting serial killers or whatever. And so it feels like a little more breathless. And so it's going to be shorter sentences, less like flowery ruminations and
Yep.
like about life. It's going to be more to the not to the point. I mean, there are definitely scenes where, I have the characters sit with like their words and their thoughts and things like that, but it's going to be just like faster pace. And then with historical fiction, it's slower. It's like more not meandering, probably a bad word, but because
But
they
more
do have plots.
expansive, right? Like I
Yeah.
think like you're seeing, well, let me guess. I'm just going to take a guess. Like would it
Yes.
be if you're writing two people sitting on a porch in a thriller, there's stuff that's kind of happening, there's like faster paced conversation. In a historical fiction, maybe there's some conversation, but we're really admiring the view and we're really like getting into the setting and the tone. Is that
100%
okay?
exactly right way to describe it. Yeah, because like that scene between like even the one that I recommended where it's like a romance between like Sully and Olive like would look a lot different in a historical, but it feel like your voice still comes through because you're still, making the vocabulary choices that are yours and the observations that are yours and everything. It just kind of feels like it's turned, like tweaked a little bit. So yeah, and like the hard thing with historicals is you have to kind of have them talk like they're in a historical. So I don't do like slang or anything like
Yeah.
that. I'm constantly like looking up like words and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. If they're like invented.
You're like, that wasn't invented until
No,
1976. We cannot talk about this in 1942.
the weirdest ones I wanted one time in my very first book. So it was set in 1812, and I wanted to describe something with like a kaleidoscope colors, and kaleidoscope
They
was
weren't.
not around in 1812. And it's the weirdest things you have to think about like that for that. So it's funny how much I keep like etymology sites up and stuff when I'm writing my historicals. But yeah, I think it's really it gives my brain a break too. Like if I write too many thrillers in a row, I start or like itching for something else. And then if I just came off of a really like tear your heart open kind of story for a historical, and I'm like, I think I'm ready for another thriller. Like,
You're like, that was a lot of emotion.
a lot. Like, I feel my blood out on the page. And so I'm like,
Awesome.
I think like it lets me kind of not get burned out, like it
Yeah.
lets me kind of be really excited about every project that I'm working on because it feels really new. It feels like I've just come off of like, okay, like I had to drop all these red herrings and come up with this intense twist. And then now I get to be like, look at the sunset. And then, after I write Look at the Sunset, I'm like, oh, it'd be really fun to do like a serial killer hunting. So like it keeps me like kind of engaged and not as burnt out as I think I could get.
I think that makes sense. And I'm sure that it's also just really enjoyable because it flexes your skills and like you're having to apply to different things. And since you're writing different genres, may I ask, do you find that mystery is a little bit harder because of the red herring and the like it's an extra layer?
100%.
Okay, great.
100%.
Because I've been saying this to people and I was like, I hope to God I'm not lying. But I really do think that this is the hardest one to write because you have to play a game. It's like, it's not just writing a story. You've got to do this extra freaking thing on top of it.
100%. 100%.
Okay.
I don't know. I like it's so hard. It feels like you're like every other genre is starting on second base. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
we're like at home trying to swing at the like shallow Tawny.
Yeah, we're like, wait, what? So do you plot or plants or pants or what? Where are you at? What's your method?
Answer. Like I don't know. I kind of am. I don't outline, but I know the breadth of the story before I start writing it. Like I know like why I want to tell the story and where I'm going with it. But each chapter, like I said, kind of I like them in conversation with each other, and so I never understood how you could outline while you have like the chapter and it needs to have something to do with the next chapter. So I was like just how my brain works. I'm more of like I know the bigger picture. I know where the narrative arc is. But other than that, I am like rolling with
just as it goes. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. That totally makes sense to me. Because I also wonder the same thing. And there are some like Jeffrey Deaver, for example, he is an extensive outliner, like
really?
100 pages of outline. Like it's really extensive, but that also includes like, he has like, he says that like that's his outline, but I'm pretty sure it's just like a super rough bones, like skeleton draft is what I would think.
I almost call my first draft an outline. Like I'm like it's a super fleshed out outline, but like all of those words are going to change. Like
everything's going to change anyway.
90% of those words are going to change, and it's like very like the bare bones. So I think sometimes terminology kind of gets when it's more just kind of like we're telling ourselves the story the first time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's even when you're outlining it, like you are just telling yourself the story. But to your point, so I like a full, just like straight outline. Like I struggle because I'm like, oh, well, I get into it and I'm like, oh, what's the conversation that they're going to have? Because that conversation is what's going to be important for later. So like, I know that this is going to happen here in chapter 3. I know it's going to be important later, but I don't know what she said.
Yes. Exactly.
She said something, but like what'd she say so I can like know? And then and then you get into it and then they start saying stuff and you're like, that's not at all what I thought you were gonna say, and now we're going in a different direction.
I know. I have my characters go off the rails all the time. They're like, I had the historical fiction I wrote, I had like a very strong idea of what the plot was going to be, like how the characters were going to interact with each other. And then one of the characters was just like, F you. And like, really changed everything about the entire book because she was like not listening to me. And I rarely have that happen, but I was like, she kept trying to have this conversation with this person, and I was going to change the whole book. And I was like, all right, let's see what happens.
Let's just see what happens.
Yeah. But you know what I love when you're writing? One of the things I love most about writing is like when you can do a callback throughout the whole book and have it change meanings. And I'm like,
yeah,
how do you do that with your outlining? Like you have to it has to come up organically.
Yeah.
It doesn't. People do outlining, I'm sure, but my brain doesn't work like that.
My brain doesn't work that way either, but I do, like, I appreciate it. I like the guardrails. Like, that's kind of the, like, I like some guardrails where I'm like, I think we should go this way, but then, you know, they do whatever they want to do. Okay, so we're going to move into the next section where it's the same 10 questions I ask all of my guests. So first, what is on your writing desk?
I just turned in Olive 2, so that 30 Secrets will come out next year. And I turned in a historical fiction project. And so I'm in this space right now where I'm like feeling out new projects a little bit.
Hold on one second. When did you you turned in within like what? With the last like week, 2 weeks, month?
My summer was ridiculous. I turned in Olive 2, I turned in May, but then I had to do developmental edits, and that took about 6 weeks. And then I was also, my historical project was due August 1st. And so I was like juggling these two projects.
Oh my gosh.
Insane.
Yeah, that is doing the two different things at the same time.
Yeah. And then I took, and then I had Clean Slate coming out August 4th. And so I just took the last 2 weeks off. I mean, like other than doing like some publicity for Clean Slate and things like this. But I was like, I organized my basement. I was like,
nice.
That was like a year's worth of like, I needed to do that. It was terrible. But so yeah, now I'm in like a little bit of a lull, not a lull, but like just kind of thinking through the next projects. And that is so, I don't know about you, but I love that part of it.
Oh, it's my favorite part. I like to think about ideas so much more than I like writing. I have so many ideas. I'm like, oh yeah. I mean, this is why I do book coaching, because I'm like, yeah, let's like talk about ideas and like let's brainstorm, because I have way more of that than I do.
It's so funny when people like, you know, non-writers talk about like AI and stuff, and they're like, well, I have an idea and I just like don't have time to write the book. And you're like, that's like everyone has ideas.
Yeah, everybody does.
That's literally like the easiest, funnest part of writing.
It is the funnest part. Wouldn't it be cool if I had this like crazy thing? And then I love when people tell me that and they're like, I have this idea. And then they tell me the idea and I'm just like, yeah, that sounds like 6 books. And I don't think that's okay, but good for you.
Or 0 books. I've had people tell me ideas that are just like settings. They're like, set in the national parks. And I'm like, okay, like,
but what's going to happen?
What's going to happen?
I don't know. It's just there.
Like, all right. But ideas are super fun. I love
they are fun.
The idea phase.
So when you are drafting and you're writing, are you a clean desk person, or are you a messy desk? Are you Post-its? What are you like right at your kitchen table?
I am very messy. Thank God the camera can't see my desk right now.
But it looks really clean back here, but that is all just magic work.
I make sure that all of this is clean, and then everything else can be whatever it wants to be. No, I actually write outside most of the time. I have a garden out back, and except when it's super cold or super hot. And I have my dog who is sleeping. But so we just hang out in the garden, and I have like a nice chase lounge back there and stuff like that. So that's really fun. Otherwise, I'm usually on my couch typing away.
So you're kind of like a wherever.
Yeah, for sure. For whatever reason, I prefer the couch to a desk. So yeah.
So what ritual, if any, do you have before or after you write?
I don't think I have anything. I always have to have a Diet Coke near me at least in the morning, or like in the mid-morning. And then yeah, other than that, since it's like my day job, I just, get up and I write every day or draft
Hmm.
every day or edit every day. So it just kind of feels more like my whole day is the routine.
Yeah.
I do like getting out and hiking in the morning. So that's helps kind of unclog,
Clear
keeps you,
things up. Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. If when you are writing multi POV, multi timeline, do you write straight through like a reader, which is what I'm guessing, or do you write each section and weave? So you write straight through?
Yeah.
Because that's the conversation piece that you were saying.
Yeah.
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 It's so
I think,
fascinating to me. There's very few. I've met a couple, but there's very few that just write all over and then weave together. Jennifer Hillier is one of those people.
oh,
And she always is like, don't ever do my writing process, because she's like, it's 300,000 words for like a 90,000 word book, because she just writes shit all over the place. And it's like, I guess this is a story, and then pulls it together, but she's brilliant. So, but I've always wondered that. And 90% of writers write straight through, which is so interesting to me.
it is, and I think it's the easiest when you're starting out and then you get into that habit. I think it is harder when you're starting out to just like pick and choose. I know some historical fiction people who write a modern timeline and a past timeline
Yes.
will do those like full,
Yes.
blend. That's the one. Thriller writers, I feel like write like how I do. But historical fiction, I have heard more writers say that they will do the two pieces and then put them together.
That totally makes sense. Maybe I
Yeah.
should try writing some historical fiction, because that's the way that I do it. Like, I'm like, well, in
Oh,
the
do
past time, I
you?
want to know, like,
Yeah.
well, what happened?
Yeah.
Because then I'm like, if I'm doing an investigation in modern time, like, well, I don't know what happened, so I don't know where to lead them to. So it's a whole like, but that's just the whole part of like, everyone figures out what their process is, and you,
That's the thing is,
yeah.
okay, so I went to see VE Schwab one time give a panel, and she was talking about her writing process, and she has note cards of scenes, and they are categorized by emotions, and then
Oh,
she feels like what emotion she is feeling and writing that day and picks a scene that will match it. And I was like, that gives me so much anxiety just listening to that idea.
but she's also B. Schwab, so
It works for her. And I'm like,
yeah.
so one of my writing advices for people is like, don't like throw away things that don't work. If something is giving you anxiety, it's not meant for you.
Yep, it's
But if
not for
it's
you.
cool and you like that and you're like, oh, that's really cool. I really like writing emotionally, then that's an option that you can have.
Yeah.
But yeah, whatever works to get the book out is like good.
Yeah. I think a friend of mine told me, and I think it's either Donna Tartt or Barbara Kingsolver, and I always get them confused. I don't know why, I just do. But one of them writes their entire book in every point of view. So every chapter is within all of their points of view and chooses the best one. But again, it's one of those two authors that I just said. So
I'm like stunned into silence. That is,
isn't
oh
that
my God.
insane?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I bet that's why they're so good.
Again. Like, it's a different level. I mean, you got to find what works for you, right? And so, but yeah. Okay, so what is the most bullshit piece of advice you've heard?
Ooh, that's a really good one. That there's only one way to write, that there's only one correct way. I hate that. I hate when people are so attached to their own and think it's like the only right way. Like, I got that a lot in the beginning. I would see a ton of people, not a ton of people, but I would see people being like, if you don't outline, you're not a real writer, and like things like that. And it's like, what?
No. Or if you don't write every day, you're not a real writer. And I'm like, oh man.
You're a real writer if you write. Like,
Yeah.
the only time I ever put like qualifications on that is if you use AI heavily.
Yes.
So, but you're, like whatever your process is the process. If you can get a book out of yourself, that's what you need to do. And so yeah, I don't like when people are like, there's only one right. You can't have any clutch words in your entire manuscript.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? I hate that. Like, I hate any kind of like
Hard and fast rule.
Yeah.
Like, you have to do it this way. Yeah. It's always important to know the rules, so then you know when to break them. Like,
Yeah.
but you got to know them so that you're not breaking them and like, oh, I didn't know that I was like, it's an intentional thing. There's a difference.
That's legit. Yeah.
What's the best piece of advice you've heard?
Oh, be curious just about the world. So many of my ideas have come from not trying to stare directly at an idea. Like they come because I go to museums and I read books and I do things that interest me, or like maybe even push myself out of my comfort zone. And so they've all come to me in very different ways, but it's always because I am being curious about the world. And I think that ripples out to things like be curious about how the querying process works, be
Mm-hmm.
curious about how their writers write, and that's always going to serve you well in your writing.
I agree with you. And I think that that's like, the more, I think it's experiencing the world is what serves your writing,
Yeah.
right? Like and some people are able to do it and they've got these amazing imaginations but they live in their small world. But I feel like a lot of people, if you're like struggling to write or you're like, oh, I don't really know what to do, or where like a lot of times being out and just doing something that's like not writing related will be the thing that triggers for you or gives you the idea or just refreshes your mind enough that you can come back to it.
Yeah.
But yeah. What is the darkest idea you've had that has scared you about yourself?
Ooh. I think like, writing from the standpoint of psychopaths,
Yeah.
when you're like little kid, you have to write like the little kids. My debut thriller wasn't from the perspective of a psychopath, but it was like what he was doing to the girl. Um, and that can be tough. But I also am
Mhm.
like, I don't know. I'm kind of Teflon a little bit in terms of like, especially like with writing. Like
Yeah.
I don't I'm kind of a baby when it comes to like horror movies or whatever, but with writing, it's so much like I want to get a reaction. Like I want not sensationalized. It still
Yeah.
has to be like tied to like the plot and the book and the characters and stuff like that. But like I want to kind of go down those like dark paths and try to bring out the emotions in the readers because that's our job, right? Like
Yeah. Absolutely.
we're
I mean,
trying
I
to get
think your darkest idea was the one we just had about a detective that's a necrophilia that goes.
oh man, never living that
Okay. How many drafts do you do before you share with anybody?
oh it's kind of interesting because like I said, like that first draft feels like an outline and I end up rewriting the whole thing as I go. So I don't know, like maybe 10, but it's kind of sporadic. Like it's kind of like, oh, I'll get halfway and then I'll be like, I'm gonna go. Like if I'm kind of like stuck on where to turn, I'll go and like start over. Like I'll start reading through it, and as I'm reading through it, I'll usually edit. Then I get to that part, and I'm like, okay, let me keep writing, and then I'll go back. It's just kind of like I don't know. I will say 10, like 10 passes, and
Okay.
then it also depends on deadlines. Like some
Mm-hmm.
are tighter than others, and so if I have time, I love giving myself time off, like and getting fresh eyes on the material because like I think you get so tied into it
Oh
emotionally.
my gosh.
You can't
It
see it.
genuinely is. And I get it because there are deadlines. And I also get it
Yeah.
from perspective of people in my position who are aspiring to be published writers, right? Like there's this urgency, there's this need, like I gotta get it out. I want to put it like I need to like do this. But that break
Mm-hmm.
is the best thing that you can do for yourself. It truly is. How many times I have come back or I've had a client
Yeah.
come back that went back and read their stuff later and they're like, oh, it's just you
100%.
have to get away from it. You have to forget it.
That's why agents will actually be very wary of submissions they get right after NaNoWriMo.
Oh,
So
yep.
National
Uh-huh.
Writing Month, where
Yes.
it's
Because
this
there's
program.
no time.
Yeah, you write every day. You write like 50. Is it 50?
It's
50,000
50,000
goals.
in the month. Yeah.
And then so a lot of writers, if they get it like right after, or writers, a lot of
Agents, yeah.
agents, if they get it right after, will be like, read it
Oh
with a
no.
yeah, they'll
Yeah.
be like, you don't think this is
Pro
right?
tip to aspiring to be published writers.
Yeah,
Do not query right after NaNoWriMo, first
no,
of all.
no.
Like in general, just because they're going to be
It's like
inundated.
December, and like no one's doing
No
anything
one's
December.
doing anything in December
Whatever
anyway, all
period
of
in
that stuff.
December.
I mean, they're clearing out their inboxes, but you're competing against people who
Yeah,
don't have any further education about what it actually takes and what the process is and things like this.
Yeah.
So just pro tip, don't
Yeah.
query then.
Yeah, no, December is super hard because then they're trying to also like deal with like their list,
Their
so
backlog, their slush
everything.
pile that they're like trying to get stuff out before the end of the year. So,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of agents close, I think, in December
Yeah.
as well, which is smart.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that the inundation is probably insane. What they get on a regular day is crazy.
Oh, hundreds. It's I don't know. I talk about being, you know, my aging journey was like in 2016, and I don't
Mhm.
even think I have tips anymore because like I feel like it's probably changed so much.
It's
Like
like, yeah, everything is so
hard.
it's so interesting. And now there's a whole level about like, are agents running books through AI checkers / are you like, do you have to prove it when it's a whole whatever. It's a whole thing.
No, I know.
Okay. A couple more questions and then we'll wrap up. So what part of the process is your absolute favorite? We kind of talked about it.
Ideas.
The ideas, yes.
Or ideas into, I would say, like the first 10 chapters.
Yeah.
Because then it feels
Once
like,
you get to the middle. Ugh.
yeah, the middle is like hard work.
Like,
But
oh wait, now
like,
stuff has to happen.
I'm sowing my seeds or whatever that is, you know, then you're like, oh, I'm reaping the consequences.
Great. They had to do things now. And is that what is the least favorite part?
The mushy middle, because the ending is so much fun. I always have really fast endings, and they're like, and I write them fast, and it's like it feels like a snowball running down, like, you know, going down a hill, collecting speed. But that mushy middle between like my super favorite part and my other favorite part, and then it's like, you gotta string them along, but you gotta keep them interested, but you can't have them guessing. It's a very delicate.
This is where the game happens. It's where the game happens. The red herrings, the like you're going on the wrong paths, all of those things. This is that like
it's hard.
The hard part. It's about writing.
He doesn't write thrillers. It's very, very hard. But.
Yes. Okay, and last question. What is your old school favorite mystery or thriller? And old school can be anything for you, like 2000s, 90s, 1940, whatever.
Oh, I mean, I like Agatha.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you get that question. Like, I'm sure you get that answer all the time.
I get that answer a lot.
39 Steps. 39 Steps.
What is that?
It is like a mystery, kind of like an everyday man solving crimes. And it was turned into a play too.
It looks like it's an Alfred Hitchcock movie.
They turned it into a movie. It was a book first.
Okay.
But yeah, it's so good. They turned it into both a play and a movie.
That is how you know it's a great story. Awesome. I've never heard of it, but I'm definitely going to take a look at that.
Like, yeah, no, it's super fun. I think it's super short. And I love, it's just like, again, like an everyday man who gets like pulled into like a kind of a spy crime thing. So yeah, I'll go with that instead of Agatha. She's too cliche.
Everybody loves Agatha Christie, which is great. I mean, there's a reason why she is the queen, and I love asking this question because to me it's so interesting. We're always such in this process of the new book. Yeah. But books are evergreen. Like they last forever. And so there are books that like, you know, one of my favorite books is from the early 90s. Yeah. And
which is it?
Like, there's no technology today. Oh, it's called Nothing Lasts Forever by Sidney Sheldon.
Oh,
yeah. Who also like a lot of readers today don't even know who that is, which is so fascinating.
Yeah.
You know? So anyway.
No, so all of my historicals have books tied into them. And so that's how I found 39 Steps, actually, not from the my thriller writing. But I actually have like a ton of like excerpts in them because it's so much fun to have a current book in conversation with another book or an old book from like it's public domain, so anytime before like 1930 now. Yeah. And so all of these old books, and I use them to amplify the message that I'm trying to use in each chapter, and it feels like it's keeping them alive. It's like my favorite thing about literature.
That's so cool. I love that.
with each other. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's my
That
favorite.
is awesome.
Fun.
Well, Brianna, this has been such a wonderful conversation. Where can people find you?
So I'm mostly on Instagram, Brie Labuskes, and I have a website, briannalabuskes.com. I have a really easy name, or a really unique name. You're the only one you're gonna find. So yeah, anywhere you buy books too. So
Yes,
yeah, thank you.
fantastic. And make sure you pick up Clean Slate. I really enjoyed this book, and I think that you will too. If you would like to chat with me, you can find me on Instagram at Sabrina Thatcher Author. And if you want more information about my book coaching services, you can find that at crimeandquill.com. Until next time, friends, stay sharp and right twisted.